Alexander, what do they call you on the boat?
Alex.
Okay. So you're sailing with the Mudratz sailing team, but for some reason you were anointed to come and tell the story of the boat. So you must have a good story to tell, I'm assuming. So you guys with the Mudratz sailing team, let's roll through that. What the heck is a Mudratz sailing?
Yeah, so we're a youth sailing organization aimed to get kids out on the water and getting new experiences. I mean, like doing this race, I think half our crew had never sailed the Bermuda race before. I don't even know what our average age is, but we had a 15-year-old on the boat, and we're really just aiming to get out on the water and get some experience, which we definitely got a lot of experience on this race. I don't even know where to start, really. A lot happened. I think the first night, we were finding it really difficult to find the right sail and get into our whole an actual rhythm. We hadn't really sailed the boat too much, so understanding our sail plan and what was really going on was really difficult with such variable pressures between the symmetrical kite, the asymmetrical kite, or a code. I think we found ourselves getting caught in the wrong sail a lot, but things started to iron themselves out. Going into I guess it was Saturday morning, we had a small issue with our kite halyards getting wrapped around the top of our headfoil, so we had to send somebody aloft to get them unwound. And once we got that all sorted out, my watch, we kind of went to bed, woke up around sunrise to a loud bang and a few profanities being screamed. And I looked out the window and I saw our code laying in the water. And pretty quickly we figured out that our starboard side spinnaker halyard is snapped. And then we started to look at our other spinnaker halyard, luckily we had two, and it was not looking too good either. So we had to swap it end for end and we put a new splice in there. So we were going slow for a little bit, but we were able to get that issue ironed out. And it really, I think, put into perspective, once one thing goes wrong, kind of leads to another, and leads to another, and leads to another. So we finally got the spinnakers all sorted out. Then after that,
It all becomes a blur, doesn't it?
It all becomes a blur. There's a lot going on. Wow. I'm trying to think. Sorry, just give me a second here. Yeah, so we went into Saturday. The breeze started to build a little bit and went aft. Once we got into the Gulf Stream, we threw in a nice little hitch. Got some really good current behind us. We were going fast. I think we had never really sailed the boat in above 12 knots of breeze before. So it was definitely an eye-opener. We learned that even a knot or two of breeze really does a heck of a lot for boat speed for us.
And what was the breeze range in that time?
Oh, in that time it was pretty light. It was probably, light for the race. It was about 15 knots or so, which was really manageable for us. Once we jibed back onto starboard and the sun started to set, we started to see, like the 15 to 20s.
Now it's getting fun.
And then it's getting really fun, yeah. And it was just after sunset on Saturday night, and we were going downwind on port jibe, and the breeze started to build, and I was driving. We were watching the anemometer, the wind speed, and it's going 22, 23, 24. And once we hit about 26 knots of speed, the foreguy released from the cleat, and the pole just immediately went up. And luckily, I had a couple seconds just to think, this is not going to go too well.
Doing.
Yeah. So we had our first major broach, which is nice. Luckily, we got everybody up on deck pretty quickly and got sorted out. We were able to get the kite down. We originally thought that our spin sheets had snapped, which would have been a much bigger issue because then it would have been a slow race from there.
Yeah.
I don't think too many of us wanted to spend any extra days on the boat if we didn't have to.
Pretty smelly on that boat, I imagine.
Oh, pretty smelly. Yeah. We got some Listerine out to wash some feet. It was an adventure. Yeah, we got the spinnaker under control and we were going downwind. Going into Sunday, the breeze really started to build. Oh, I guess, sorry, after we broached, my watch went down again. And we had a couple more pretty close broaches to pretty uncomfortable sleeping conditions, I'd say.
Yeah. Stop it! Come, dude, you're pounding on the deck. Come on, man, get the boat.
Just go straight. But once we got that sorted, we had some issues with our battery because we were sorting out so many other issues with the boat. We weren't running a charge, and we actually killed all of our batteries because the way that the boat's wired, we can't separate our starter battery from our house battery. So we were running without any instruments. We had a nice little tactic up on the mast.
All you need to know is where you're going, right?
All we need to know is where we're going. So we pointed the boat at where we thought Bermuda was, and we had navionics. and we were going straight for a little bit, and luckily we were able to get it sorted out with a nice little jumper pack, and we got the engine fired up again, and everything sorted, and that was kind of that was probably the only time during the race where I personally was a little bit nervous, because it was about exactly during the halfway point, and we're like, ooh, so which way is closer? Is Bermuda closer? Is Newport closer? But luckily we were able to get it sorted out, and we were able to keep on plugging along. We had the mast boot fall out from in between, basically it sits right at deck level where the mast enters through the boat, and that actually dropped down during one of the broaches. So we had to get that sorted out, but the rig was pounding and taking out some of the fiberglass, luckily. This is not sponsored at all, but Flex Seal is by far the best thing to carry on a boat. It has saved our behind a couple of times. We were able to get the mast boot back up and get the rig back under control, and luckily it stayed up there for the remainder of the race.
And so that collar, that's just, I forget the material, but it's a rigid structure that just sort of like slid down.
Yeah, I'd say it's semi-rigid. It's a little bit flexible, but it slides down and it keeps the mast from, because the fiberglass isn't a solid, so it keeps the rig from pounding around, so whenever we would...
So how did the Flex Seal come into the repair? How did you use it?
Well, we kind of hammered it back up into place and then taped around the lower side, and then got, I'm blanking on the word right now, but nice little ring collar, and shoved it down so I couldn't slide it anymore. And then part of the morning routine was pounding the collar back up into place with a nice little mallet. It's a nice little wake-up call.
Yeah. Doink, doink, doink.
Yep.
Yeah. It's better than a wake-up call, the rig coming down, right?
Yes, it is a much better sound. But so we left that to Morgan's job. He was waking up with the mallet.
So we should probably, for the people listening, I remember that like this boat is a donated boat.
Yes.
And probably was not in the best shape when it was donated anyway. That's why usually people get rid of boats, right?
Yeah. I mean, obviously to start off with that, our program runs off donated boats, and we wouldn't be, our offshore program for sure would not be able to exist without people donating boats. And a lot of time went into it. Luckily, we had Cole and we had James. Cole Brower.
Yep,
and James Tomlinson.
Okay.
Who spent, I don't even want to ask the question of how many hours just cleaning the boat and getting it ready. And without them, the boat wouldn't have been anywhere close to where it was. But yeah, the boat has a few rough spots. Luckily, we were able to iron most of them out, but some of them we weren't able to find until we really get the boat going in some breeze.
You don't know
what you're gonna do.
Yeah.
But
so with the when you guys landed last night, I did hear the story about the battery. So it's just sort of coincidental that somebody snuck on board a lithium power, like sort of like to charge iPhones and things like that. But what was the MacGyver rig on that one?
It was very MacGyver, yeah. So they crimped on, they cut the multimeter wires off at the end, so we kept little prongs on one end, and we crimped on little rings so we could put it onto the starter battery. And then there, 2 little prongs went into the positive and negative side, because it wasn't really, it was kind of a phone charging battery, but it was a little more substantial than that. Put it in, it was a few person job, one person holding the fire extinguisher, one person holding the lead, one person holding the battery. And then Mike was up on deck ready to rev the crap out of the motor once it finally started. And I don't think any of us have ever been so happy to hear that motor start up and rev. Yeah. But it was very MacGyver, and I would definitely not have thought of it.
Yeah, but see, now you learn it. It's interesting that that's the experience you get of.
Yeah.
Like, well, okay, now
we have the steps of how to do it again written on the side of the boat for the delivery home.
Yeah.
But I mean, that just goes into this whole race. I think just you don't know what you don't know until you learn it. And for me, if anybody asks me, "Oh, what did you learn?" I don't think I could pick out any certain thing, because I learned everything. I mean, and even just seamanship, being on a boat, and there were 12 of us, and it's pretty cramped. With our watch system, we had 8 people down below almost at all times, and on that boat is a lot of people and a lot of smelly people.
Yeah, anyway, it's a Corel 45, which wasn't necessarily built to do what it's doing, It's built to go around buoys in the Mediterranean.
Yeah.
Yeah, by 12 pro crew. Yeah.
Luckily, I think this boat had been adapted previously to do a little bit more offshore and coastal racing, so we weren't completely left in the dark. But yeah, it definitely was not purpose built for this exact situation.
And on that, we go back to the halyards, and I would say that's so. A lot of the team. How many people were new and first time racers to this program?
So there were 6 of us. So
6 new.
6 new, yeah. So Sarah, Mike, Cole. I'm trying to think if we had done it before, but yeah, 6 of them were done. Peter and Morgan had also done it. So only 2 of the youth had done the race before, previously on Dreamcatcher, and then the rest of us were all first-time Bermuda race sailors, and really first-time blue water sailors as well. Except for a couple of us doing some cruising here or there, but most of us had always been in sight of land in other boats, and it's really a magical experience just being out there and seeing the color of the water, and it was really
just being out there.
It was spectacular. Yeah.
It was cool last night to see you guys come in. Who's the one with the ponytails? I'm drawing blank. She's the youngest one, 15.
Oh yes, Ellie.
Yeah. It's like her saying to her mom, like, it was so cool. Like that's I think the enthusiasm that people don't understand of the experience of just going out there and just being so far from everything, and the newness of it all is amazing, huh?
It's very hard to describe in words. Yeah, it was absolutely amazing. I'm so glad that we were able to do it and put it together. I mean, if you had asked me 3 days before the start of the race whether we were going to even make the start, it was pretty hands up, and I'm very glad that we did. I'm very glad that we're here now on Terra Firma. But wow, yeah, it was really something.
And now you got to bring the boat back.
And now I get to bring the boat back. I have the pleasure of sailing it back. Luckily, we have it'll be short-handed, but we have some experienced people, and we have an autopilot.
But it's also it's worth noting that Mike Hennessy was essentially your person in charge, right? He was the adult in the room, and he has a boatload of miles behind him. And so, from your perspective of if you were him, how do you think he saw this youth team gel together?
Well, I think he's actually pretty open about it. At first, going back to the boat, he was pretty, up in the air about whether it was going to happen. But I think they were all really happy with the way we sailed, and the camaraderie between all of us. We all get along. There weren't too many big issues. I don't think there were really any issues between people, and it was just a fun environment to be in. Yes, we were racing, we were trying to do our best, but at the end of the day, we were there to sail. And when you don't have any instruments and you don't have really any outside world, you don't really know how you're doing. So you may as well just sail your boat as best you can.
Yeah.
Actually, going back to, I guess, something that I learned and a big takeaway is trying not to go as fast as you can all the time. Because on Sunday, it was pretty breezy for us, and we had been having all those issues throughout Saturday night. And the decision was kind of made by, Mike and Cole and Sarah that we weren't going to be flying a kite during the day because we all needed to catch up on some sleep, and we were still booking it down some waves. And, I don't think I would have been mature enough to make a decision where we're going to slow down a little bit and we're going to take it easy. But
it's the hardest thing to do when you're that far down the track.
Exactly.
You're like, we keep going, we're here. Yeah.
But I think, after a couple hours of being on deck and driving, we were quite thankful that we were seeing some other boats who had kites up, and they were sailing kind of the wrong direction. We were just keeping it right on the rum line for Red Bermuda the entire time, which was kind of our goal, just shortest distance sail and going fast and keep the boat pointy end up.
Cool. All right, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Great story. So you guys going to be back in a couple of years with a better, faster boat, hopefully? Maybe somebody donate you some Mod 70 or something?
That's what we were joking about. We got to go somewhere. We went from Dreamcatcher to a Corel 45, so Volvo 70.
That'd be just fine.
That'd be great, yeah.
Yeah, but I think Charlie Enright will be done with his boat by then, so I would just pass it to the program.
Those are pretty easy.
Learn to foil. It's all good.
Yeah, sure.